So I'd been working in the bowels of the building, designing SOF as a future
So
command.
now you see your baby growing up and
and
take
so
its first steps.
Up until that point in Afghanistan, JTF-2 had been using, elements of the 82nd Airborne Division as a cordon force, as a blocking force for fire support, for cutoff, to go and do the missions. And we were like, we need an organic SOF element that's going to grow beyond that, but initially that's what we need. And so the CSOR guys were great. I mean, sure, there was some growing pains. But I got to say, like, having commanded the command for 4.5 years later in my life, 14 to 18, CSOR's culture was always something that pleased me. It was somewhat less refined than JTF-2 in a good way. It was rough and ready. It was gun trucks and rucks. It was like, yeah, no problem. Tell us what you need us to do and we're after it,
Yeah.
And I really think CSOR, at least from the time I left, CSOR had grown up into a really, really good unit.
I definitely enjoyed my time in there for sure. Like out of all the units I've worked with, CSOR we gave the freedom and the adult, just authority to go and do it. Yeah, point me in the right direction and let me do the job.
So that's the magic of SOF. When people ask me, I speak sometimes and people are like, what is it about that place? And it's like, well, there's two things. One is it gets to select its people. Yep. Whether it's operators or in the support side, it selects its people. So that's a huge advantage. But the real advantage to SOF is the culture it has, which allows people at the very bottom of the pyramid to feed ideas up. It's not just top-down command and control. And that's the secret sauce. It's a culture that invites everybody to put a little bit of the organization on their back and carry it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Love that about SOF.
It was a fantastic ride. I enjoyed my deployments and time with them for sure.
Yeah. Indeed.
And now, I remember when you came to talk about, I want to talk about Drew for a moment. Okay. So you've had the nickname of War Daddy for a long time through us.
I probably had a lot worse nicknames too.
Yeah, there's
Don't
a few other
ones.
But you were a War Daddy, and there's an iconic picture of you, in the gunner seat, and that just was all of the bravado that associated to it. Mm. And then you came, and we had a casualty with Drew, and you came and you talked to the whole unit as a group, and I remember you didn't just give us a briefing of what happened. You took us very frankly through the whole procedure of what specifically happened. Yeah. And you, at that point, you weren't showing, I'm your commander. You were showing us some emotion, and you were showing us that you were not just War Daddy, but you were our father figure at this point. Yeah. And I think that's where you cemented, at least for me and the guys around me, that we'll follow you into battle for sure. Yeah,
I mean, it sounds cliche, but like I didn't know Drew personally. I had interacted with him a couple of times. I didn't know the other fellas who were injured personally. I got to know them later in life. It was a really, it was a difficult moment. It was a difficult moment on a number of levels. Organizationally, the government was concerned about casualties and all the rest of it. So there's always that pressure from above. But on a human level, it was a big moment for CSOR. I grieved for Drew's family, for the other three who were injured, and when you I loved what I did, and I loved the people I worked with, and I broke down a little bit when I was talking to you guys, but it's just the way I felt.
Yeah, and showing that human emotion, meant more, I think, to us than just the words of, okay, this is what happened, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean, people conjure up images of commanders, special forces commanders, or generals, or admirals, and, the reality is, we're exactly the same as we were as a captain or a lieutenant. We're just a little more educated, maybe, over the years, and a little more wise to some of the business stuff, but we're still the same people, and I think I've always believed in communication, over-communicating, that we need to be very clear with each other, and that was just part of that. I felt like I owed an explanation to CSOR as to what had happened that fateful day.
Yeah, and I know, incidents like that and many others that we've had over the years
Sure.
all put a lot of pressure, especially when it comes to mental health. Do you have any advice that you would give to our troopers out on the line now?
Yeah, I mean, so look, I mean, I've been shot a couple times over the course of training and operations. I've broken my back. I've got other injuries from combat, whatever. But I signed up for it. I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah.
It's like when I became a cop. I knew what I was getting into. And so I don't see myself in any way as a victim of these things. I see it as part of my life's trajectory, and I celebrate those things within me because they kind of made me stronger at some level, even if I wake up with a sore back every day. But so that's, it's tough. Like getting out I've been out now for 2 or 3 years. It's been a difficult journey in some ways. People must think, well, he was a lieutenant general, it's easy for him. I'm no different than the sergeant in the sense that I lean on my friends. I lean on family. I try to work through things, and there's ups and downs. There's good days and bad days, but I never regret the career I chose.
Right.
The careers, yeah. I've loved it.
So now, what does a retired lieutenant general do?
So I would change executive assistants and all that every year, right? When I was a general, so I've gone through 8 cycles of those staff, and their heads would all explode when I say I work in the tech industry because I was the most non-technical, hey, my computer's not working, I need help. I work for Dell and for Accenture, and I'm a strategic advisor in the defense and national security practices globally.
Okay.
And so, they have technology that they sell to national security organizations and whatnot. And I help sort of bring the tech and the business side together in their plans and their strategies. So I love it because it keeps me engaged. The thing I miss about the military is, I don't miss going to work and the parades and all that stuff. What I miss is the people and the mission, the sense of purpose.
Right.
And so I'm trying to find that in different ways in my life now.